Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome officially to the channel. This is, as you know from the intro, a series where I go into odd game accessories or peripherals that developers made to help us get in more into the game mentally or physically. And today I want to talk about a cool attempt to get players more into something we all likely tried as a child, but never totally got into. Skateboarding. That's right, today we're finally going to talk about one of the ones that's been on my list for a while, the Tony Hawk Ride skateboard. Now, Tony Hawk Pro Skater was hardly the earliest of skateboarding games. These were around for quite some time by the time Tony Hawk came around, with games like Skate or Die or others coming out on the NES. However, none of them really caught the world's interest like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Coming out in 1999, the game took Tony Hawk from Pro Skater at the top of his game to pretty much a household name everywhere. With a combination of great gameplay that took something complicated like skateboarding and made pulling off tricks not only accessible, but easy and fun. It quite literally changed the game with its huge half pipes that would allow you to transfer into a grind and then to ground tricks, all very fluidly. All this to popular bands at the time like the Dead Kennedys, Primus, the Vandals, and more. Each stage would ask the player to hit a certain score and even ask them to collect the letters of the word skate. Other times it asked players to collect VHS tapes or more, all in a 2-minute time limit. You thankfully didn't have to complete all these objectives in one run, but could do it over the course of multiple runs, unlocking more skaters with their own boards and stats as you went along. The series became so popular it spawned off multiple sequels, adding more and more guest characters like Darth Maul, Spider-Man, and even Wolverine joined in on the fun. It seemed that the series could go nowhere but up, pumping out no less than 3 sequels, and then came the next evolution in the series, Tony Hawk Ride. This game changed all the rules, removing the controller and instead coming up with a skateboard controller packaged with the game for a rather steep price of $119. People were curious, nervous, and a bit excited to try it. I'll admit that I personally avoided this one. I was half afraid of the shape and how you would use it, that it would either have me not able to find enough space to play or cracking my head open trying to pull off some of the tricks. And if you're like me, you probably wondered how this thing worked and how well it worked. Well, let's open this thing up, metaphorically speaking, and have a look at how the hardware inside the skateboard itself worked. The device itself was by all reports fairly well constructed, with 4 IR sensors on it, one in the front, one in the rear, and one on the left and on the right of the board. This was to basically make it so that the board could tell what direction it was leaning. It also had an accelerometer on it, so they could tell how much force you're putting on the board in those different directions. They even went to the trouble of putting some grip tape like finish on the board to help you from doing what I kind of feared the most, which is falling on your butt and breaking something during the act of playing it, assuming you were smart enough to wear shoes or textured socks while playing. All of this worked great in theory, but in practice, the board itself often had issues registering movements by either being not sensitive enough or in some cases far too sensitive. You see, if your pants covered the sensor of the board, it would pick it up. If your shoelace was untied, well, that's a bit of an issue as it might hit the sensor and cause problems. Want to do a grab? Well, some of the tricks you needed to do would have you having to bend over and put your hand over the sensor while on the board, and given its stability, this caused more than a few people to fall off trying to bend down enough to cover the sensor enough to do anything useful. It also didn't help that it took a while to even start trying to do anything because you had to spend 5 to 10 minutes calibrating the board in the first place, which thankfully you only had to do once. Unless the batteries died or you hooked it up to a new console, then you would have to go through that entire process all over again. Reception to this was, well, not great. Most people found it hard to play the game, and given it had no other control options, the game mostly became unplayable by most people, ultimately being one of the first major flops in the franchise, but hardly enough to kill people's appetite for Tony Hawk games overall. It basically just went down as a great idea with poor execution. However, what do you guys think of this one? Did any of you ever own it or try it? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. For now though, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. I really do appreciate it. If I could ask you for one more favor, please leave this video a like. And if you haven't, consider subscribing. It really does help me out. For now though, thank you once again, and until next time, happy gaming.